And for more on the war between Israel and Palestine, generating global tension, I'm joined by global affairs analyst Ejike Okwa, who joins me live from Dallas, Texas, in the United States. Thank you for joining the conversation this hour. We've seen an unprecedented humanitarian crisis in the Gaza Strip in the past 3 weeks thereabout. And according to Prime Minister Netayanhu, ceasefire means surrendering to Hamas. What do you think is the end game for Israel here? What's Israel really? What would mean the end of this for Israel?
I wish, thank you for having me. I wish I have an answer for that. Israel will always flex its muscle. I mean, they are more equipped than any of the neighboring countries, more than the Palestinians can. And so when they have an opportunity like they have from the attack on October 7th, it's just more like they've been waiting for an opportunity to do what they are doing now. U.S. is said they are behind Israel, so many other countries are, but then at the same time, U.S. is giving, humanitarian aid. Why can't we just have the ceasefire and begin to address the issues that are causing this? The freedom fighters are always going to be called terrorists, because they are not organized military. They don't have nation. They're going to attack, however they see fit, and they're going to try to inflict as much injury on the other side. Israel is an organized military, is an organized country, so they're gonna do whatever they have, within their power, in order to afflict the most injury on Palestinians. In this case, in Gaza, the idea of having killed somebody, one of the leaders of Hamas. But the thing is, you kill them, does it make everybody else go away? There's somebody else within the wings, to take over and do as much damage as possible.
You know, the,
So again, Israel, say they have the right to exist. Every nation has the right to exist. Every people have the right to exist. Why is this part of the world one of the most troubling, section of the world? The U.S., looks like they're afraid to tell Israel stop this, but they can't because, the Jewish Americans, are the ones that control the media. They are a very powerful group in America. So every American politician is going to be very, very careful what they say because they have money and they have the media. When you have both, you could dictate what the world sees and how the world see it.
Indeed. The position of the West is that Israel has the right to defend itself, but how much of independence does Israel have against the world? Because there was an emergency UN General Assembly in this regard where some 125 countries voted for an humanitarian truce. Doesn't seem that the US and Israel completely agreed with that position. But how long more can they go against the will and the wishes of the world?
Well, humanitarian, it's not somebody's beating you up and at the same time giving you food. Why can't we just, come to a position where we don't have to do humanitarian? We allow people, or we give the people the right to exist. Yes, Israel as a nation has the right to exist. The Palestinians also have the right to exist. But human nature, when you push people to the wall, what do you think they're going to do? The Palestinians, all over as long as Israel has existed as a nation in that part of the world, they have always been what at the blunt end of policies, of the Western world. U.S. created Israel. U.S. put them in there. So now they don't know how to back off from what they did. And then the rest of the world, have to somehow, in order not to offend the U.S., they don't have to come in and say we support Israel, we support U.S. You got to know, U.S. has the biggest microphone in the world. They have the biggest resources. So every nation is going to be very careful what they say about, that's against the policy of U.S. But at the same time, we got to look at this. We are no longer in the 1940s, 1920s. This is 21st century. Of all the knowledge we have, how come we haven't come to terms how Israel and the Palestinians can live peaceful life? That's what matters. It's not killing people. When you watch those things, it's very graphic. People are cut off in their communication. They can't reach the world. They don't have food. They don't go to school. The hospitals are destroyed. And we think it's okay. It's not okay. Again, I support everybody's right to exist. But at the same time, when you're using force in order to destroy people. And the Palestinians have shown, no matter how much force you apply on them, they're still going to come back sometime and do something. If Israel Defense Forces and defense system was so effective, how come they didn't know about the bomb that was launched into Israel? They have this defense dome. Does it mean there was a failure in intelligence or a failure in leadership? Indeed. That's what we need to be thinking about. It has nothing to do, with all these things that are after the fact reaction. The point is Israel should have been watching out for their neighbors, and their neighbors, have the right to do what it is they're doing. It's very unfortunate, but UN is weak because who gives the most money to UN? The United States.
There's an update here from the United Nations that better buttresses the implication of the ongoing war and how much damage it's doing, particularly for children. The Commissioner General of the UN Relief Works Agency for Palestine Refugees in the Near East, Philippi Lazzarini, has just mentioned that nearly 3,200 children were killed in Gaza in 3 weeks, and that surpasses the number of children killed annually across the world's conflict zones since 2019. I just want you to take a listen to the UN's position on this.
Nearly 70% of those reported killed are children and women. Save the Children reported yesterday that nearly 3,200 children were killed in Gaza in just 3 weeks. This surpasses the number of children killed annually across the world's conflict zones since 2019. This cannot be collateral damage. Today, Gazans feel that they are not treated as other civilians. Most of them feel trapped in a war they have nothing to do with. They feel the world is equating all of them to Hamas.
UNICEF and our partners are committed to staying on the ground to deliver for children. But make no mistake, the situation grows worse by the hour, and without an urgent end to the hostilities, I am deeply afraid for the fate of the region's children. But we and you have the power to help lift children out of this spiral of violence.
The scale of the horror people are experiencing in Gaza is really hard to convey. People are becoming increasingly desperate as they search for food, water, and shelter amid the relentless bombing campaign that's wiping out whole families and entire neighborhoods.
We have said time and time again, I repeat, there is no military solution to this conflict. We are yet to demonstrate there is a peaceful one. Prove us wrong. Every minute counts.
There is
every minute is the difference between life and death.
There is a Geneva Convention protocol that stipulates a special protection for children during war. We haven't seen much of that play out in the past 3 weeks with over 3,000 children dead. Do you kind of see the thin line between Israel protecting itself here and outrightly committing war crimes?
Good question. While I was listening to that, I was thinking about, some heads of states that are now, that went before the World Court at The Hague and serving time for genocide. And now this is something against children and women, civilians. I don't think any Israeli prime minister would ever go before that court. Because again, who is supporting them? The United States and, most European countries. Until, one of the people that commented on the video said, there is no military solution to this. You can have all the bomb and, you have. Human spirit is very resilient. They're going to find a way to fight. So can we have a diplomatic solution? If the West is always about the children and the women, how come they are watching, children and women getting killed, and even it can even do that to dogs and not get some outrageous outcry. So UN again, is not going to issue a genocide war crime, and Netanyahu. It's not going to happen. Even if you do, it's going to be a joke. So, but if this were happening with some other world leaders in Africa or some old Middle Eastern bloc,
You are recommending a diplomatic approach where there is no military solution. But over the decades, you will agree that we've had attempts at such, from one state to two states, even three-state solution. Would you agree that it's actually more complicated than that? What are you?
Of course I do. I mean, like I said, and I don't want to tell you how old I am, but as a student of geography and international stuff, I have read about this issue, and I live in America. If you're a public, person and you're running for office, if you say anything about Jewish Americans or Israel, you are immediately labeled anti-Semitic, and you could. I mean, they use their media resources to come after you. So it's like they know what it is they have, they know what it is they're doing, and they justify it by the fact that, hey, they attack us, we attack them. But sometimes, the other side is provoked. And so I'm just saying, for how many years Israel has been there, they've bombed, they've had a war with Egypt, they have had war with Hezbollah in Lebanon, and they're still not able to achieve the sort of peaceful existence they want. Then we have to look at diplomatic solution. If it's two-state solution, if it's three-state, let's do it. Let's grant them the rights to be nations and let neighbors love neighbors. I don't understand neighbors fighting each other and then wanting the rest of the world to be dragged into it. I just don't see that, and nothing anybody, until US says, you know what, we're going to stop giving Israel the arms and the resources. Don't forget, $30 million is given to Israel every day. So you do the math. No other nation in the world will see that kind of resources. Apart from the monetary support, they get military support. So, and then of course they've been able to, do their own military industrial complex to do whatever it is they're doing in the region. At the end of the day, can we just have peace? Children dying, women dying, people have nothing to do with the conflict being crushed. It's just not human. It shouldn't be happening in the 21st century. So, I want to wake up one day and say, oh, the Palestinians and the Israelis are, hunky-dory, they're, hugging each other and kissing each other. But it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
Well, that's a dream that the world has had for over a century now. Hopefully, the world is also paying attention to the drastic implication of deteriorating security in that region. Thank you so much for your contribution, Global Affairs Analyst Ejike Okpa. Thank you for talking to us.
Thank you for having me.